In the last video, we saw how Assam's geography itself makes the state highly vulnerable to floods. A low-lying valley surrounded by mountains, receiving water from enormous upstream catchments, but that's only half the story. The other half is the river itself, the Brahmaputra. The Brahmaputra is not an ordinary river. Across much of its Assam reach, it is a braided and highly dynamic river. What do you mean by braided river? Instead of flowing through one fixed channel, the river repeatedly splits into multiple channels around the sediment bars and then rejoins downstream. Why does the Brahmaputra behave this way? There are two factors. One, dramatic change in river gradient. Two, enormous supply of sediment. Let us understand the elevation part. Brahmaputra, as it enters India from Tibet at around 660 meters above mean sea level, it then cuts through the steep eastern Himalayas, say near Pasighat in Arunachal Pradesh. Brahmaputra, which is called as Siang, emerges from the mountains at around 155 meters above mean sea level, and much of the Assam valley lies roughly at around 50 to 120 meters. Now imagine that enormous change in elevation. Elevation tells us how high a place is above sea level. Gradient tells us how quickly the river loses elevation as it travels downstream. Simple terms: steep mountains, sharp reduction in slope, extreme flat valley. Now, imagine a river carrying enormous quantities of sediment entering this much flatter landscape. Where do you think that all that sediment comes from? From an entire mountain system. The Brahmaputra basin is a huge basin across Tibet, Himalayas, Bhutan, Arunachal, Nagaland and Assam. These Himalayas are also young, tectonically active, highly fractured, erosion-prone slopes. Now comes the challenge with respect to the monsoon, intense rainfall, and earthquakes. The landslides can send huge quantities of this rock, soil, debris into these mountain streams. And imagine these tributaries, how much sediment they are carrying. You have seen so many railway lines being covered with sediments. And in these vulnerable catchments, imagine the deforestation which is happening, land use changes which are happening. This can also further increase the erosion. Now bring all these things together. How much sediments the river is carrying into the flat Assam valley. But what happens when humans try to control a river that is naturally this dynamic? That is where the human story begins.